Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. I am Dr. Jacqueline King, the CEO and founder of Black Women Empowered, an online Christian networking and business page on social media. We empower, we uplift, we encourage, and we enlighten. So tonight, as you know, we do interviews and we interview people that are doing great things in our community. And tonight we have the lovely QueenAfi, who is with us, and she is an amazing woman who has an amazing story. As you know, BWE has been an advocate for victims of domestic violence for many years. So we are delighted to have her with us, and we are looking to partner with her to do some work around domestic violence and mental illness. So Miss QueenAfi, how are you this evening?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. Thank you, BWE. Thank you so much.
Well, we're just honored to have you with us, and thank you for the work that you're doing. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can go into how you got involved in domestic violence and mental illness.
Okay. QueenAfi, as you said, the founder of Domestic Violence Wears Many Tags organization, founded the organization in 2008. Out there searching, doing my research and trying to figure out, who's having a conversation, what type of conversation are they having, and, where could I fit in with my organization? Did my research, found out, there was not a organization that was doing sort of a classroom style when it comes to domestic violence. Also did my research on who were having conversations with men that are victims of domestic violence. Did not find that in my research either. I also wanted to search out who was educating victims and abusers in the domestic violence, programs or vicinity. Didn't find that either. So I said, okay, wow, this is a conversation that really needs to be had. And given that I was the victim as well as the abuser, I know that you have to have both sides. You have to be able to educate from the victim perspective as well as the abuser's perspective, because the two of them really do go together. Like, you can't have one without the other. And so I decided that I would start having these type of conversations when it comes to domestic violence. And we've been going strong since 2008. We've been in the school system, in
awesome.
churches, in people's houses, in backyards, having this amazing conversation about domestic violence and the many tags that it wears, which is verbal, emotional, financial, sexual, and physical abuse. We must talk about and educate our young people at that dinner table on all 5 tags when it comes to domestic violence. So it's been an amazing ride, being able to have this conversation included with mental health, because we know that domestic violence can trigger a mental illness. So it's important that we begin to have that conversation at the dinner table in that order.
Well, I'm very impressed that you are out there meeting people where they are. So let's back it up. You and I had a conversation, and you said you were an abuser and you were abused. So start there.
Mm-hmm. So as the victim, I was, of course, in relationships where I was wearing the black eye, where I was getting stomped in my head with Timberland boots, where I got smacked in the face with, a gun, or, the gun put to my head, all these things that are going on at my young age, between the ages of 14 and 16 years old. And when my best friend was shot 5 times, that built up the wall in me to say, oh, no, this can never happen to me. So I decided that, what, anything that come my way out, I'll be the first one to kill him first. Like, you're not going to kill me. So I took that attitude into multiple relationships. And of course, it cost me lockup. But then as the abuser, I learned that, I want to do this behavior, but I don't want to get locked up. So, of course, I had to revise my tactics and learn how to abuse from a verbal and emotional standpoint. And so when we say people cannot be, when we tell people, show me the marks, there may not be any marks. But this person is in an abusive relationship just from the verbal and the physical abuse. I'm sorry, the verbal and the emotional abuse that someone can, inflict upon you, infect you with it. So that is what happened to me. And I carried this behavior on for a number of years. I think I may have had about maybe 8 partners where, I was the abuser.
Wow. That's tough. And a lot of times, as you say, men don't talk about it because it's embarrassing, because of egos, because of different things. They don't talk about being abused. So in your program, how do you get men to talk about their situations?
Yes, in my program, I host a men's panel that I've been hosting for like the last 8 years with the men, and just bringing them to the forefront and letting them know, here's a platform for you to share. I know that, I've met some men out there that I put my hands on, then spit on, broke out car windows, done all kind of things to, and once they hear this, like, oh my goodness, a female is actually stepping up and saying this, like, it's no way I can't support her. And so men want to get involved with, having a safe space to share their story. And I do allow them that.
So one of the things that I've always wondered, and I'm not being judgmental, but for, why would a woman or a man stay in an abusive relationship?
Yeah, that's a very hard question for victims. And, just on a sidebar, it's insulting for victims, because we, as the abuse, I can tell you, they literally stay for so many reasons. It could be for the children, it could be for the finances, it could be for what their illusion is of love. And as the abuser, what I'm telling them what love is, what I want our love to look like, but not really demonstrating that behavior. And that's the same for men. You find men that are afraid to leave their children, and then we have men where they don't have the finances to go anywhere, and then we have men that are literally scared to leave that relationship because they've been threatened so many times. And not only that, the abuse, eventually we're going to put our hands on the victim because we have to show them that, we mean business. So it's for so many reasons that they stay.
I'm looking at your website and I like it. It's in case any of you all want to go to it, it's Domestic Violence Wears Many Tags, DVWMT, and it is a nonprofit organization, and it serves as an educational resource center for victims and abusers of domestic violence, in the mission of breaking the cycle and teaching proactive methods of prevention. Also is dedicated to restoring and preserving a stable family environment through education services. That's really important. So how do you do that?
We do that through our community classroom sessions, which, before COVID hit, we were actually in a space, having the classroom sessions with families, women group, having groups with the women, having groups with the men, and being taught on various topics, as well as, us learning about the tags that actually travel with these relationships that, seemingly are anonymous to other people, as well as giving the victim and the abuser a place to identify, you know, a place to come, sort of restorative justice to come, for the family to come, for the victim and the abuser to come, you know, and get that education, because, you know, some of them may want to try to restore what they have, you know, and it can be done. It just has to be done in a way where, you know, that program or that person understand that the victim and the abuser both need help. They both need to be educated on how to break that cycle when it comes to domestic violence. And so we set that up for them, as well as we do our one-on-one groups with men and women, teen boys and girls. I have the one-on-one sessions, not groups, but one-on-one sessions with them, as well as I have the anonymous calls that I do. I've been doing the anonymous calls for 12 years with people, you know, anonymous calls where women could call in, where men can call in, where families can call in and just listen, you know, because I know the abuse is, you know, crazy. And, you know, they spend a lot of time tracking the victim. So the victim may not be able to come out the house, but he or she can make that phone call. You know, they know the time when they can actually get away, you know, and make a phone call. So it's important that, you know, my organization continue to have the anonymous calls. It's people on there that I don't know, but when they see me, I come out, they say, I was on that call. I said, well, bless your heart, you know, because they gotta have a secret space to be able to start thinking about devising the plan, you know, to exit the relationship. And that's for men and women.
Yeah, something that you said just struck me, because I know when we did have our domestic violence director, we would get calls of women who needed a place to go to, and we never could find a place. I mean, they're always filled. What do you do when you run across something like that?
Yeah, because we are a educational resource, so we have to partner with other, you know, sister organizations that are doing the work where they can actually do placement for that victim. The thing about America, and it's really so heartbreaking, and every time I say this, it's still heartbreaking. I can pick up the phone and get a place for a woman, but I can't get no place for a man that want to flee his relationship. How are we ending domestic violence?
Wow, and I never really thought about that. That's something that we need to look at closer. What is the percentage of men that are abused? Do you know?
Especially when the CDC is saying 4.2 million men in the US are victims of physical abuse and sexual abuse and stalking. That's not far from women who serve 3.5 million. They are very close in numbers, which means that at this point, we should have equal resources for women and men, but we do not.
Well, that's something that we need to look at. And how are you funded? Are you funded through the government?
We take personal donations because, you know, the government is tricky. And, you know, they want to tell you what you cannot do, can and cannot say. And, you know, and you see what I'm saying? My spiel is completely different from what it is normally said. So we take our private donations.
Okay. And so do you do, now with COVID, you do group calls on Zoom and they don't have their faces, you just have audio? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, we do our group calls every month with the women that are on there. You don't have to turn your camera on. You can leave your camera off. We also do it for the men. You don't have to turn your camera on. You can leave your camera off and still get some education behind what you are going through in terms of, you know, this conversation.
Wow. I am so impressed. And we need more people like you. So you are also the host of Abuser's Side Education Talk Show. Where does that take place?
That takes place actually on the anonymous calls, but before, of course, we were at Talk Show and I still have like 100 and some episodes there where people can actually go and listen to www.talkshoe.com. And you can go there and search DVWMT and pull us up for messages that are there. But I do this call because I think about the secret, the anonymous, when I'm doing my calls. I don't want the abuser to be able to track that victim, and so I decided, let me just, do anonymous calls. So that's what I do. I do it every Thursday, third Thursday of the month. And on that call, we talk about those red flags and warning signs because victims don't know them. Survivors don't know them. Leadership don't know them. Nobody seems to know these red flags. And if they do, they're very minimal. They are 11 red flags that we must know. Okay, beginning with grooming. Grooming is one of the number one warning signs that we must pay attention to. Verbal abuse is number 2. We have
Wait a minute. Wait. Grooming, how does that come in?
Grooming is going to be where you're potential victim. So we're on a date, and the abuse is there, listening for particular qualities that is bait for him or her. And one of those things is going to be, we come to the table with our trauma stories. A lot of us come to the table and talk about how bad our childhood was, how we didn't have this, and how we wish we would have had that, which are not good dating things to do, especially when we talk about that person, male or female, could be a potential abuser. But once the abuser hears this, it's like bait. It's like, okay, well, let me just start becoming everything this victim wants and needed, male or female. And that is what I do, as the abuser. And that starts the grooming process of where now I'm getting into the psyche of this victim's mind. And so now I can exercise number 2. I can start doing verbal abuse. I can start saying, you dumb, you stupid. I can slip those in, and see if you're going to check me or if you're going to let me continue to escalate the verbal abuse. You said
so basically they prey on the weak.
And there are some that are strong. It just depends on, this person could be the breadwinner, and be strong and appear strong or feel strong. How we like to toss that word strong around. Yeah, that could be potential bait too, because I can say, okay, wait a minute now. No, I believe this is a challenge. I believe I can make this person a victim.
Yeah, when I say prey on the weak, I don't mean strong in their position. What I mean is they have exemplified that they are missing something, love or attention, or that's when I say weak, that's what I meant. Somebody that has a void that needs to be filled. That's the type of people that they prey on, right?
True, but you could have all your hearts filled. You could have everything in life. You could have had everything in life. But as the abuser, should I do this? Should I spend this time breaking this person down because I know I can? Or do I go to a more vulnerable victim, which would be like you're saying, someone who identifies with their weaknesses? It just depends on the victim. It depends on the victim. It depends on my time, because I have several other victims that I got to manage. So it just depends.
So how does alcohol and drug abuse play into this?
I mean, if you are a victim, of domestic violence, and or you are an addict, and then you attract an addict, and let's say you get clean, and you don't want to be a partner more. Well, you can't tell this person no. You can't be in a relationship with this person and tell them no, because yes, the alcohol, the drugs, whatever, has the potential to intensify abuse. But research says that drug abuse and alcohol doesn't necessarily start a domestic violence relationship or situation.
But it can escalate it.
It can enhance it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm learning a lot. So you know that BW is a Christian organization. Do you tie Christianity into your program?
I do. For those of, especially more so on a one-on-one basis when I'm dealing with, clients that are one-on-one students. I like to say students.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm dealing with students one-on-one, as well as when we put our mission out there, this is a service, for God. God wants us to get back to that dinner table and start having these conversations that we have negated to have because of what goes on in my house stays in my house. Little children ought to be seen and not heard. I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. These are the things that we've told our people at the table. So we got to fix that. And through this organization, God is saying, yes, let's get back at the dinner table and let's learn, some healthy expression. Let's talk about these hard topic conversations. It's all about us getting back there and finding our faith, finding our one-on-one with God, reconciliation, that, the abuser can be reconciled through this. And I'm a living witness that he can do it. People say, Queen, do you think the abuser can change? Absolutely. I think the abuser can change. But somebody got to be saying, I'm an abuser. Just like Paul said, I'm a murderer. Somebody got to be saying, I'm an abuser. And I'm saying it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Something that we don't typically talk about, and you don't know that my grandfather was a pastor for 70 years. You and I didn't talk about that. So I grew up in the church. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of abuse in the church.
Yes.
Do you all talk? I mean, there are ministers that abuse their parishioners, either silently or from the pulpit.
That's right. That's right.
Do you address those things?
Spiritual abuse is a factor. Domestic violence in the church is a factor all day long. Yes, that is one of our workshops that we do when we come out to the community. I think it's a very good conversation because you do have a lot of churches that are in denial about domestic violence and that those tags can be there, and it can start in the pulpit. But these pastors around here in DC and vicinity, they don't want me in their church. I'm not a welcome person in the church, okay? Because I know that these tags they do start there, and we have a lot of women, a lot of men that are abusers, that are victims of domestic violence right in the church, and pastors in this area here, they avoid the conversation, preaching it from the pulpit. So how are we ending domestic violence?
Well, so I have a family member that was in a cult for many years. Mm-hmm. And I know that for a fact that cult leaders can be very verbally abusive. That's how they control mm-hmm. the people. I think that we need to talk more about it mm-hmm. And shed light on it for our young people. That's right. mean, most Black kids, for the most part, grow up in the church, and mm-hmm. The parents need to know who's in the church. Mm-hmm. They need to know what type of church it is. They need to know what's being taught. And when they go to these children's churches and stuff, all of that stuff, it is the responsibility of the parent to know what's happening, who's molding your child's mindset, mm-hmm. what are they hearing? And even if they're sitting in the audience and you don't get it, sometimes it's going to be passed off to the kids. You're mm-hmm. ignoring it because you don't get it. But mm-hmm. the kids could fall into that and right. think that this is a way of life. I'm supposed to be talked down to. I'm mm-hmm. supposed to be belittled. Those mm-hmm. are things that I think that we don't address enough.
Right. True. I agree. in the church, you know, it's hard. It's a delicate conversation. And even if you're going to do this type of conversation in the church, you know, you want to have somebody that's relatable. You want to have someone who can speak both to the young people as well as the older people, and kind of mend all of that together in that conversation, because it can get very touchy, you know, and we will find that, you know, there are some victims and abusers in this conversation, which could then get more touchy. So it is very delicate, but I do advise that, you know, we have these group supports in our churches. Why can't we have group support for our young people to be able to talk about mental illness? You know, why can't we have group support for our young people to be able to talk about, you know, the gun violence that they have experienced from multiple family members or friends? Why can't we have group support for our young people who want to talk about domestic violence and how verbal abuse just simply kills them? You know, and we should do it at the church, because that is a one-stop shop for us as African Americans. It's a place that we really do take pride in. And it's a place that we expect to teach us, but we limited in what we can talk about when it comes to those hard topics. I think it's unfair.
Unfortunately, you are right. And so that's why we need more people like you that will talk outside of the church. We're actually on the 28th, and I invite you to join us. I'll add you. We're doing a Clubhouse that I actually started with some of my pastors and mental health professionals. It's called Mental Illness in the Black Church. And I would love to have you on that platform, because we're gonna just put it out there. You know, that's another thing that, you know, we don't want to talk about. And being that I've been in the church all my life, you know, we like to pray over it and shout over it and speak in tongues over it. And in the end of the day, and I have nothing against praying and speaking in tongues and shouting, got nothing against any of that. But some people need some drugs, some professional counseling, and you cannot pray that away. That's why God made professionals that can help in those areas. And we need to be discussing that and stop acting like it doesn't exist. That's why we have so many people that are dealing with, our people that are dealing with depression. And there's been so much suicide as of late. I know you hear about it. Back in the day, I mean, honestly, I'm 63. I never heard of Black people killing themselves. If they were, you didn't hear about it. But it's happening a lot lately.
It is happening a lot.
And so these are things that we need to address. So I am just really, when I ran across your page, I was just really honored, and I was glad you said yes. I know that you have a busy schedule because you're in demand. There aren't many people that I know of that are doing what you do. So you are a servant leader. That's near and dear to my heart, because I'm a servant leader too. The Bible gives us our gifts not to elevate ourselves, but to serve others. Many people try to make it about themselves. So I really commend you. And this is a really hard topic. It is. And being that you have gone through it, and I know that it can, because you're a woman, you're a mother, I know it can get really emotional at times for you. And then having people pull on you from all different areas. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, when I've been, you know, I was out having this conversation for at least 7 years, everywhere in, you know, in DC where I could go to have this conversation. And then, you know, in 2016, my daughter was shot in the head by her baby father. So, you know, and on that day, 7/30/2016, I had a whole panel to do, okay, for the men, because this was the 5th year that I was putting that panel together for the men to come out and share their stories. Well, a man just killed your daughter 6 hours ago. Like, who wants to go and talk to men on a panel about domestic violence? Girl, this little buggy came. Well, I ain't gonna say buggy. My daughter's voice came on my shoulder and say, you gotta go. You still have to go and have this conversation. I'm telling you, should I cancel? Should I go? Should I cancel? Should I go? Ended up at the event, having the conversation. Nobody knew until the end of the event. I told them my daughter was just murdered 6 hours ago. People could not believe that I had carried through the entire event and, you know, was there serving, you know, God under this type of umbrella. And I think back, you know, today from then down and say, Lord, if it had not been for the Lord,
girl,
where would I be, honey? I'm trying to tell you. And people say, but you still doing it. You still talking about. I'm not going to shut up about this. This is even more reason why the conversation need to be had, because I was doing the work and it happened to me. You know, so domestic violence don't care. It does not care. We have to care at that dinner table, you know, about educating one another on this very touchy subject. And so I haven't shut up, sis. I'm still talking, still about it, still out here putting that message out there because it is that serious. And this was before my daughter was murdered, and I'm still talking.
Wow, I didn't know. Wow, I didn't know. So I'm just, oh wow, that you just kind of messed me up with that one. And you really did. You caught me off guard because you and I had not had that conversation. So I definitely did not know that you are a strong and brave woman. And I thank God for you.
Amen.
I really do. One of the things, our title, if I didn't even read it, the title of our segment tonight is She Turned Her Abusive Story into Education and Empowerment. And that's pretty amazing. I remember for me, a young lady that I went to school with, she was in a domestic violence situation and she put her husband out and he came back and killed her. Yeah. In front of her 3-year-old. And I remember that was one story. And then I actually got picked to be on a jury. So this show was actually aired on Montel when Montel used to have his talk show. So this woman, her common law boyfriend beat her to death with a 2x4 with nails in it, while her children, who were 3 and 7, watched. And 20 years later, they came back. The case went cold because he was an informant and he was like a bully in New Jersey. And nobody wanted to tell on anybody that knew anything. Nobody would talk because they were afraid of him. The kids reopened the case and I got picked for to be a juror. I'm like, of all people, why me? And it was just so unreal. The neighbor, they lived in a row home, and the neighbor was 20. She was 40 at the time. She heard him beat her to death through the walls, but he told her that if she said anything, he would kill her too. So now she's 60, and the kids remember. So they had it open back up. I'm telling you, it was so brutal. They had still the clothes. They had the clothes he had beat her with the holes in them, and they still had dry blood stains on them. And they showed the picture where he broke her arm in 3 different places where he beat her with a 2x4. So, I mean, that had a really lasting impression on me, because I think we were deliberate. We were in there for 2 weeks. And he almost got off because one of the jurors didn't, just didn't get it. But after we got together, we got her, because you know it has to be unanimous for murder. And we talked her through it, but I'm telling you, this is real. So what I want to say to our audience tonight is that please break the silence. Do not allow this. There is help out there. And QueenAfi, I want you to give your information and how people can make donations, whatever information you want to share with our audience. Go ahead and share that.
Yeah, thank you. I like to keep it real simple. Whoever, who is in need, you have a question, you're not sure, reach out to 202-821-8933. You'll get me directly, because I believe in that, especially when we're talking about domestic violence and mental illness. Of course, you can call the 1-800-799-SAFE number to get all of your caring resources in your state to help you with devising that plan of exit. As well as if you want to help us out with the donation, of course, you can go to your Google search and put in DVWMT, and all of our information will come up on how to do that, the website, and it will lead you to to the location on the website to make a donation to us.
Well, I hope that our listeners will donate. This will be on our platform, and so people will be able to view it and go there and make donations. I thank God for you. And we will definitely keep you in our prayers, because I know that this is not an easy assignment that God has given you.
Not easy. Can you hear me? Oh, she got stuck, I think. This is how I deal with mean girls, slime queen. But it has a name. Creepy. I'll teach you a lesson. Where are my glasses?
I'm back. Your mic is off. Your mic is.
Okay.
Okay, was that you or me?
I think that was you, because I've been here the whole time.
Okay, well, they will edit it out. So anyway, I want to thank you for coming on, and we'll get together and we'll talk about how we will partner, because we need a partnership.
Okay.
We need somebody that's committed to the cause, and you will be that person. Did you?
Wait a minute. Mine that got all crooked now. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think I'm back. All right, there you go.
Okay, well, they're gonna edit it. But anyway, God bless you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, BWE. Dr. King, thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
And make sure you're sharing our stuff too, because we got big things coming up, but we'll be talking, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, dear. God bless you.